Let's be honest. Most of us say we want love, but if we're being real, we don't actually want love. What we really want is to be chosen, to feel wanted by someone, and to be picked. And because of this, we often find ourselves with the wrong people who are basically no good and emotionally unavailable. The ones who make us prove our worth, or the ones who remind us subconsciously of the parent, the partner, or the past situation that taught us that you're only as good as what you can offer. And until you stop chasing validation from others, you'll keep mistaking it for love. Hey friend, I'm Christy, board certified nurse practitioner, health coach, and trauma survivor, and someone who's learned the hard way how past pain hides in present patterns. Welcome to Trauma Free, where I help you change your mind and change your life, just like I did, using neuroscience, psychology, and real life experience to help you rewire your brain, heal your heart, and reclaim your future. And in today's video, we're diving deep into something most people never talk about: why we're wired to crave the very kind of love that hurts us. You may not know this, but you're not addicted to love. You're addicted to the biochemical ups and downs of the emotional pursuit. That high you feel when someone finally texts you back after they've been silent, that's dopamine. And studies show that intermittent reinforcement, which is when love is given unpredictably, it releases up to 3 times more dopamine than receiving stable affection. So it's basically the same concept used in casinos with slot machines. You never know when the reward is coming, so your brain becomes obsessed with the pursuit. And if you had to chase love as a child, your brain already learned that love is something that you have to earn and something that you have to perform for. So until you unlearn the belief that love is restrictive, you'll keep chasing validation. We live in a world that glorifies being chosen, whether it's the job, the relationship, or the friend group. And somewhere along the way, we learn to internalize a dangerous lie that being chosen means we're finally enough. So when someone emotionally unavailable throws us breadcrumbs like a 2 a.m. text, a vague compliment, or a quick glance of interest, our brain reacts and we mistake that for real connection. We interpret that little bit of attention as proof that someone finally sees our worth. This pattern often starts early and is learned in our childhoods, especially if love was conditional, based on achievements, appearances, or how you behaved. So you learned early on that love isn't something I receive, it's something I have to earn. Maybe you got praised for getting straight A's, but you were met with silence when you cried, or you were told to suck it up and stop. So you learned that love had rules and your worth was negotiable. Developmental psychologists have found that self-worth formed in conditional households becomes tied to external approval and not internal safety that we all need to thrive. Let's talk about your brain, because unpredictable attention, like hot and cold behavior or love that comes with mixed signals, activates the nucleus accumbens, your brain's reward center, which spikes dopamine way more than consistent affection. A 2020 study showed that inconsistent rewards create the highest levels of behavioral reinforcement. So it's like your nervous system becomes addicted to guessing, which is the same pattern that makes gambling so addictive. Because your brain doesn't just love the win, it gets hooked on the chase. And here's what makes it worse. Those emotional highs, they're followed by intense lows. So you end up crashing. You start questioning your worth, and you end up reaching out again anyway. You may think it's chemistry, but it's actually cortisol and adrenaline. Simply put, you're not falling for love, you're falling for stress. It is also known that early attachment patterns predict adult romantic behavior, which means if you had an anxious attachment growing up, you may feel you have to earn love to feel secure, Or if you had an avoidant attachment, you may only feel safe when love is distant. Either way, you weren't taught that love could be safe and unconditional. So the real question to ask yourself is, when did you first learn that love had to be earned? And if you find yourself chasing people who don't see you for you, you need to determine, is it really them that you want, or is it the feeling of finally being chosen? Because if love feels like a test you're always trying to pass, that's not love. It's just you reenacting your childhood. You've become addicted to the chase. Anxiety starts to feel like attraction, and distance draws you closer into the person. And because of this, your nervous system gets trained to seek out the emotional spike of uncertainty. So you mistake the highs and lows for a connection when it's really just confusion. I first noticed this pattern within myself. I would never give available people a real chance because their goodness or stability felt threatening. They didn't provide that emotional roller coaster that I was used to, so I wouldn't even allow them a chance. I was rejecting safety because that felt unfamiliar. And to the trauma trained brain, unfamiliar equals danger. It's even been confirmed that in trauma survivors, the brain often equates calm with vulnerability, while chaotic relationships register as normal. There's a powerful psychological phenomenon going on here, and that's cognitive dissonance. Because the more effort we put into something, the more we convince ourselves it must be worth it, just to avoid the mental discomfort of admitting we're suffering for nothing. So when you spend months or years chasing emotionally unavailable people, you have to tell yourself that they're my soulmate, or if I just stay by their side, they'll love me, even if the evidence says otherwise, which is known as repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive to recreate early relational wounds in an attempt to finally master them. So, as an example, if your father wasn't around and neglected you emotionally, you may chase emotionally distant partners as an adult, hoping this time your story ends up differently. And then there's the fawn response, a lesser known trauma response where instead of fighting or fleeing, you perform. You become agreeable and you learn to read their moods, so you shrink your needs to become who they need you to be just to stay safe. The fawn response develops in children who learn that the only way to avoid abandonment or rage was to become invisible, helpful, and never be a burden. So in adulthood, you don't know how to be fully seen because visibility feels dangerous. I want you to ask yourself, do you feel more attracted to people who are emotionally distant? Do you lose interest when someone is kind or consistent? Or do you tend to perform in relationships being too afraid to be needy or too emotional? Well, if you answer yes to any of these, your nervous system may be wired for the pursuit of happiness with others and not with real peace within yourself. Here's the truth. This thing we often call love, it's not love. It's self-abandonment in disguise. You turn yourself into what you think someone else wants. Helpful, easy to be around, and never be too much. So you end up trying to earn love instead of receiving it. Because deep down, you still believe, if I can just be enough, they'll finally be with me. Because trauma doesn't leave emotional scars. It rewires your entire nervous system. When your earliest relationships were unpredictable or unsafe, your brain adapted by expecting disorder. So later in life, calmness feels scary because it doesn't match the survival state your body has memorized. Because the autonomic nervous system, or ANS, becomes dysregulated after trauma, making fight or flight states feel normal. When someone makes you feel comfortable and seen, your body releases oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone. That calms your nervous system and opens your heart. But when love is unpredictable, your brain is flooded with dopamine and adrenaline. And here's the thing. Dopamine is more addictive than oxytocin. So even though calm is what you need, crazy is what you crave, because inconsistent attention activates the brain's reward circuitry more intensely than consistent affection. And here's what most people don't realize. Even if they choose you, even if someone finally sees all of you and says, "Yes, I want you," your wounded self might not believe them, because love to your nervous system has always been something to earn. So when someone offers it freely, you wait for the dark truth to be revealed. So you analyze and withdraw, and you brace for loss because your body remembers what your mind tries to forget. So how do you have a real connection? How do you stop chasing and performing and start receiving the kind of love you were always worthy of? You have to heal in layers, through grieving, repairing your nervous system, and most importantly, by choosing yourself. So start here. Grieve the version of you that devalued yourself just to be picked. The overachiever, the peacekeeper, or the one who smiled while really breaking down inside. And this grief is called self-complexity loss, which happens when we start to shed false selves we once over-identified with. Stop pretending just to please others. So stop auditioning, stop performing, and let yourself be seen as your real self. Because real love doesn't arrive when you finally get it all right. It begins when you start loving yourself and stop trying to earn it. Try using techniques that remap attachment wounds and identity outdated scripts, like self-directed CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy that you can practice by yourself by identifying and challenging negative thoughts. Or inner child work that focuses on connecting with and healing the wounded parts of yourself from your childhood. And somatic therapy that incorporates the mind-body connection and uses body-centered techniques to release emotional and physical tension. And all of these techniques can be used independently and work on attachment repair and adult bonding rewiring. Choose yourself because you're worth it. Love shouldn't leave you constantly wondering if you measure up. That moment when you truly feel that I'm worthy exactly as I am, regardless of their choice, that's when you stop settling for trash, and that's when you stop begging for love and start recognizing what you truly deserve. So start small. Each day, look yourself in the eyes and say to yourself, "I am enough, and I will no longer bargain with my own worth." And you have to break the addiction, because toxic love is addictive and it actually mirrors the biochemical patterns of drug withdrawal. Unpredictable affection creates a dopamine loop where your brain learns to chase the high of being almost loved. And neuroscience has shown that unpredictable reward schedules, like on and off again partners, are the most addictive reinforcement patterns to break. So go on a 30-day social detox with no contact with emotionally unavailable exes or people that simply waste your time. You need to train your nervous system to feel safe again. Your body needs that retraining to believe that calm is safe, because trauma wires the body to mistake peace for danger. So start using polyvagal tools to reprogram your baseline. The polyvagal theory has been shown to regulate the vagus nerve and creates a sense of safety, trust, and connection with yourself. Tools to practice this are humming or chanting, which stimulates the vagus nerve, co-regulation, which is safe touch and eye contact with trusted individuals and loved ones, or maybe weighted blankets or slow, deep belly breathing, and cold exposure, like short cold showers to reset your nervous system. And over time, you'll stop craving the chaos and confusion, and you'll start craving the calmness that will set you free. This week, I want you to really notice something. Are you chasing love or are you chasing validation? Pause before you text. Notice your tone when you reach out. Ask yourself, Is this a real connection or is this performing? Because now you should be able to recognize that you were trying to survive due to systems that taught you that love had to be earned. But now you get to teach your brain a new story, one where safety and being chosen by yourself is finally enough. Real love doesn't ask you to earn it. It doesn't keep you guessing. It sees you underneath it all. And it says you're enough the way you are. And this love starts with you. And if this resonated, hit like and subscribe to Trauma Free for more mind shifting content. And let me know in the comments if you're going to stop wanting to be picked by others and start picking yourself. So until next time, stay trauma free and take care.